Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Ignace Aleya and welcome to the CreatorGalaxy.com space station. Here in space, we are experimenting with intergalactic filmmaking skills and visual effects. If you're interested in my upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to properly set up your green screen. And let me tell you, the most important thing about your green screen is the setup.
Oh hello. Ignace is on a road trip and locked me up in space. As I was editing, I noticed that we used wrong settings while recording. The audio is still good, but the video isn't. As you can see, the focus zoom was also recorded, and because Ignace isn't here, there will be some parts in the video that show those focus zooms. We are very sorry and hope you will still enjoy this video.
Alright, so welcome in our studio. As you can see, it's not the biggest studio, but we made it work with everything that we have available. And I'm going to be showing you in today's video what we did in order to achieve an as good as possible green screen with the best kind of quality that you can have with the space that you have available. So either if you have a big space, a smaller space, the tips in this video will definitely help out. So let's start off with the green screen itself. We have a fabric here that is actually made to be a green screen. In the beginning, I tried to get some fabrics from like a smaller store where it's super cheap to get some fabrics. And I chose like a green kind of fabric, but it wasn't a specific green key fabric. So it was like a darker green, a lighter green, a little bit too yellow. And I tried all of them and they didn't really work as well as this one. The most important thing about your green screen is that it's also non-reflective, because if you have a reflective kind of surface, it's going to reflect on yourself and you're going to have a lot of spill, and therefore your key isn't going to work very well. So try to have some kind of matte, perfect green color like you see over here, maybe even brighter. It depends on the studio you have and what you want to do. As you can see, we also have barely any wrinkles in the fabric. Actually, we recorded this video twice and I already kind of cleaned all the wrinkles in here, but you can still see some right over here. We're gonna get rid of those in a second. I'm gonna be showing you how to get rid of those. And then, let's talk a little bit more about the setup of the green screen, how we set it up. So we have, of course, our frame. And behind this frame, we have a window. So we close the window as good as possible. We put something black in front of it, but it still has a little bit of light leaking through. So what we did is actually, if I'm gonna take this off, first we hung up a black fabric to cover and absorb all the light coming through from the rear, and then we covered it with a green screen, and therefore we don't have any light coming through the green screen that way. So if you would just hang up the green screen, we would probably just see a little bit of light coming through. So really try to make sure nothing is coming through from the back. So if you have any light source from the back or any reflections, you shouldn't be able to see anything through your green screen. If it takes even more kind of layers, just do that. Then next we have these clamps that we use to put our green screen on this kind of frame, and then we spin it and try to really control the wrinkles. So if you would do it like this, you will see you have a lot of wrinkles. We can put it up, try to clamp it and then spin it and see if you can really get rid of all these wrinkles. Also here on the bottom you can see that we have a little bit of a ramp, that way you don't get any hard shadows or hard cuts. And so that's basically how to set up your green screen itself. Now, the most important part that comes afterwards is getting rid of the wrinkles. So how we did that is actually with some kind of steamer that you can actually use for your clothes as well, that is kind of portable when you go on a trip. Let me show you. So this is what we will be using in order to get rid of all the wrinkles. This is actually a fantastic thing to take with you on shoots if you're gonna be carrying your green screen around. We actually used to do this with our green screen. We went mobile, that's why we have this kind of frame, and we didn't paint our walls green. It's just because we wanted to be portable and we want to be able to go on location and shoot right over there. So to get rid of all the wrinkles, what you just do is you go over them with kind of a steamer like this, and you can see the difference immediately. Of course, you're gonna have a little bit of some water spill in the beginning, but that doesn't really matter, that dries out. But you will see that the wrinkles really are gone. So if you will compare this side to this side over here, you will see that it's a big difference, and it will be a very big difference in post, because if you have wrinkles in post, you catch shadows. You can see this spot is darker than the other side, and your key is just gonna see other colors. Therefore, you're gonna see all these wrinkles in your keying. So we want it to be like as solid as possible. Another thing that you could do if you don't have this kind of steamer is just gently spray some water on your green screen, and then gently kind of stretch it, and with a hairdryer you can also get rid of the wrinkles that way. So now let's talk about something else that is also really important. Is when you have your actors on location, you want to be able to set up your camera on focus point. So what I have under me is a cross, just to show where someone would be positioned, and yeah, just where the focus point is. And yeah, so I would be standing here. Another important thing is we actually use, like I said, this green screen on location. We used to shoot for like very famous football players from Belgium, and we needed them to stand in front of the green screen and then do some kind of high kick, and we had to record that and then replace the background. So we set up our green screen, and the guy came and he wanted to do that kind of high kick, and he tried to do the high kick, but he almost fell over. And the next day he actually had a big game to play, and he almost broke his leg because of us, because of the green screen being very slippery. So what we've done to actually solve that, and hopefully never get that in the future, is underneath our green screen we have these rubber mats that really help a lot with the grip here. So if you see, the green screen here is very slippery, but here I can't actually move anything here. So now let's talk about something else that is very important. That is this thing here. That's super helpful if you're in a super hot room, just to get some fresh air, because as you can see, I'm sweating here. It's super hot. So if you give me a second, whew. No, actually, this is a gray card. So what this is perfect 50% gray. So if you point this at the camera, you can set the white balance for this, and therefore the color temperature is gonna be set up correctly. Very important if you're shooting with a green screen, because the green should actually be the correct color. If you have a too warm shot or a too cold shot, your green is going to be a different color, and therefore it's gonna give you a harder key. So then let's talk about the lights here. So I know this light setup isn't perfect, and that's just because we have this kind of small room and we can't really use all the space that we need in order to light our green screen. So we're gonna do it with whatever we have available. We used to have a bigger light setup with big soft boxes, but that also kind of took us space, and we needed our space to be able to talk, and otherwise I would be with two lights here and we didn't have a nice frame. So what we did here is we set up first our lights for the actor. So if I'm gonna be on the cross, the most important thing is to set up your lights for your actor first, and don't care about the green screen, that's for later. So what we did here is we use a standard 3-point light setup. We have the backlight coming from there to get me that nice kind of rim effect behind me. Then we have the key light here, which is going to just it's just going to light me. And then for the other side, where we have the shadow part, we have a fill light right over here. Yeah, that is just kind of filling the area of the shadow to make it a little bit brighter. The light we actually use is here from Came TV. It's super awesome. We have this kind of honeycomb kind of overlay, and that kind of softens the light that comes out. It kind of acts like a softbox. And then here we have a light from Aperture that will actually light the green screen, and on the other side we also have a light from Aperture with a softbox on it. I know it's kind of amateuristic, but this didn't take a lot of space, so that's why we went for a smaller setup like this for the room size that we have available. So we have the light lighting the green screen evenly. I know here we have a little bit of darker spots, and if you can, try to avoid that. Also try to avoid a light next to your green screen. If you can, bring it in front a little bit, but because we don't have a lot of space, we have to do it this way. Another thing that you can notice is that we have actually white walls. White walls are actually the enemy of a green screen studio, and that's because it's very reflective. So the green will reflect on the white will reflect onto me, and therefore again you will have green spill, and that's not what you want. So what we did, we have these black kind of absorb circles here that we use on shoots to actually take away light. The black color will actually take away light, if you don't know that. So we just put this here just to make sure that we don't have any reflections on the left or on the right. On the right we also have the same thing here. If you can, of course, paint your entire room black. Alright, so very important is that you really light everything separately. So me being very separate, and then if you light your background, make sure that it doesn't affect me with the lighting. So if possible, try to put the lighting behind your actor and then stand in front of your green screen as far as possible, because you also don't want any shadows to be cast on your green screen. So you can see with these lights, you will see my hand over here with the shadow. We don't want that, and to fix that, try to stand as much as possible in front of your green screen. So 3 meters would be ideal. Unfortunately, we don't have that, so we're going for like 1.5 meters. I don't know how much that is in feet, but it will come somewhere up in the screen. So for the lights, also very important is to set them evenly with the color temperature. So in Kelvin, you want to set them equally. And I found that the best way to work with a green screen is 5100, because that's like the most natural light that you can get, and to get the most accurate colors possible. So, okay, so another tip when you're recording on a green screen is, if you see my hand here, you will see a lot of motion blur. I can actually see that on my TV here, so that's also good, a TV to actually just review everything that I'm doing on the green screen. I also like to see it for my composition on my side, and I have a better understanding on how I should act. But this shutter here, because of the motion blur of your camera, because of the shutter angle that the camera has, you will see motion blur. So try to increase that, and if you're gonna increase that, you're gonna have some kind of sharper movements, and therefore you're gonna be able to key in between the fingers. If that would be like a smudge here because of the fast movement, it's gonna give some kind of green smurry thing on your hands, and that's not what you want when you're keying a green screen. Also, definitely something very important is to keep in mind what you're gonna use in the background. So what kind of atmosphere are you gonna put there? Is it gonna be a sunset? Then try to light yourself evenly. Is it gonna be on a cloudy day? Then use a lot of soft boxes, for example. Yeah, really light your scene towards your background that you're going to be using, which is very obvious, but some people, when they're starting out, they're not thinking about yeah, kind of duplicating the light setup of their scene that's going to be replacing them. And of course also the perspective. Should your camera be lower and angled up, or should it be higher and angled down? It really makes a big difference. If your scene in the background is kind of, you see the ceiling, then it should be angled down and stuff like that. We had the luxury to be working with a Cinema 4D 3D studio that we use as a background, so we can really anticipate on the camera movement. So if you have a tripod, we can just duplicate all the camera settings, put it in the 3D scene, and then just render out our scene with the exact same values that we should be using here. So that's something that you also should keep in mind. And then one thing that maybe some of you might not know, but don't try to wear green on a green screen. I know it's very, very obvious, but you have no idea how many clients I've had that say, okay, yeah, we won't wear anything green. Okay, they didn't come with something green, but they came with a logo in green, and that's equally as bad because I have to rotoscope that out. So that was really terrible. So try to avoid green colors at all in any kind of conditions. But also something that you should keep in mind is colors that are very close to green. For example, yellow is also something you want to avoid because it might be that it's going to get too close to the green color and therefore gonna give you trouble with keying. So try to wear colors that are very contrasty to green, very complementary, and see if that works that way. Of course, you have a green screen and you also have a blue screen. I would avoid a blue screen as much as possible because this camera, a camera in general, has 3 colors, red, green, and blue. But the blue channel of a camera sensor introduces a lot of noise into the image. So if you're gonna be recording something blue against something green, the green is gonna have a lot less noise, so therefore it's gonna give you a better key. So try to avoid blue. Of course, you will need blue if you go in nature, in the jungle, for example, in between all the plants. There is where you want to use a blue screen. But if you don't need it, try to go for green. It's just an easier way to key out afterwards. Damn, it's super hot in here and we don't have an air conditioning, so that's another tip I can give you. Definitely get an air conditioning, and especially if you're filming with other people, all these lights here are gonna warm up your entire studio, so you will need an air conditioning because otherwise it's just gonna be impossible to record. But just make sure that you turn it off while recording, otherwise you're gonna hear that kind of hum sound and that's not what you want. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know, and if you want to see a video on how to remove a green screen in post with different techniques and a few kind of compositing techniques on how to add your background, let me know in the comments below and I might make one for you. For now, let's just go over all the techniques that we just saw and see if we didn't forget anything. So I'm going right here on my spot and alright, so for the tips that you have seen is 1, the shutter speed, make sure it's high enough so you don't have that kind of smurry kind of movement in your hands to easily remove the green screen in between your fingers. The second tip, and I think I didn't cover it in this video, is to set your aperture as low as possible, but make sure that your entire character is in focus, and that will actually blur the background a little bit, and that will also get rid of unwanted details in the green screen. It will also flat out the colors, giving you a more even kind of green. So yeah, to sum up everything that we saw in this video, first we set up the green screen, use a black cloth underneath in case light is coming through, stretch the green screen so there are almost no wrinkles, or use a steam cleaner or water and a hairdryer technique that I mentioned if there are still some wrinkles. Then choose where your object will be and place a marker so you know exactly where to stand every time that you film. And when your object is in place, a friend can help you out with the setup for your lighting, preferably a 3-point setup, just to make sure that the green screen is lit separately and your actor also being lit separately. You need to be lit nicely and accordingly to the background you want to use. When the object is lit, use some lights to evenly lighten the green screen, trying not to spill much light on your object. Make sure that the actor is far enough from the green screen and always use a camera to double check the lighting, as this is how the video will look like. If possible, connect the camera to a bigger screen to better see how everything looks. Place your camera and make sure that the entire frame is filled with the green screen by zooming in and positioning it in the middle. You can also work with masking, which is also perfectly fine if that's what you want. When in front of a green screen, avoid green or yellow clothing or transparent dresses or glasses, or just make sure that you're far enough in front of the green screen so you don't have enough spill, but just avoid green or yellow clothing. A good way to make your life easier is to increase the shutter speed to eliminate the motion blur. You can always add this back in post with a plugin like RSMB. And lastly, try to keep your aperture low so the background gets slightly blurred, giving you a smooth finish on film. If you have any other techniques or tips or tricks that you want to share with us, also let us know in the comments below. Maybe I learned a thing or two. Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that I'm sweating so much, but it's just insanely hot in here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. Also, check out our website. We have a bunch of awesome things to offer for any kind of digital creative. And if you buy something from our website, it helps to support this channel. Hope to see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.